Hey, what's going on? It's Dave Colombo Jenkins, and I'm about to present to you one of the most interesting stories of a DJ's journey that I've come across in recent times. This is the story of Titan, and just over 2 years ago, he didn't even have any plans of DJing whatsoever. It wasn't even on his radar. Now he's playing to crowds like this. How did this even happen? Because previously, a few years before that, he was a UK Championship strongman doing stuff like this. This is a wild story, and I've got his first ever interview. He's gone from strongman to DJ via a really hard and challenging time, which stopped his athletic career in its tracks. He's turned the negative into a massive positive, and he's done so using social media platforms like TikTok. TikTok kind of gets a bad rap with drum and bass, really, and in certain cases that argument is completely justified. But not in the case of Titan. He has invested every single speck of time, of passion, of nerdy detail that he had from his sporting career into his DJing career. And this is how far he's taken it so far. Once again, I repeat, 2 years ago, he couldn't even mix a salad. Now he's doing crazy stuff like this.
3, 2, 1, go!
This is his story. Enjoy. Titan.
Hello. How are we doing?
I'm very well, Harvey. I've just found out this is your first ever interview. This is a moment and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous. I can't lie.
Yeah, no, I'm right in your face as well. Like, tell me about your life. We're about to tell the story of the last couple of years of your life has changed beyond recognition. If someone had come to you before 2022 and told you that you would be traveling the UK, Europe, eventually the world as a DJ, that you'd be, on lineups and you'd be playing to hundreds, thousands of people, what would your reaction have been?
Not a chance. Not a chance. Don't get me wrong. Like I've loved music my entire life, but considering or thinking about even doing this as a hobby never even came to mind 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. So to be where I am now is just mad. Like I can't get my head around it.
Mind blowing. So let's go back to the start. Let's go back to the time when music normally comes into your life and where people might make those decisions or aspirations and ambitions that they want to become a DJ in their teens. Where were you at then? Let's go back to your teens.
Right. So I've always loved music, and I've found subconsciously I've naturally been drawn towards faster BPM music. Even like down to listening to rap, Eminem, that sort of stuff. It's the same BPM. A lot of it is the same BPM as drum and bass. Tiny Temper, again, Pass Out, the numerous bootlegs of that because it's drum and bass BPM. And then going through my secondary school, I started to realise that there were a couple drum and bass tunes, and then gradually went with that. I think the first ever tune that I listened to was Tidal Wave that I knew was drum and bass by Sub Focus, and like I think that was the first ever tune that I listened to where I was like, I got goosebumps from listening to it. It was one of them that I was like, oh my god,
brilliant.
Yeah.
You can remember your first goosebumps moment.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. I even remember the lad that showed me. He ended up becoming a DJ after leaving secondary school, James Lancer, mad. But yeah, he showed me. He put some proper nice headphones on. Bearing in mind, I'd never listened to music through headphones at that point. It was all via like earphones. Put some proper nice headphones on. Put Tidal Wave on. And I was like, oh my god, I need more of that. Sent it Max, my brother, and he was like, what the fuck is that? That's unreal. And then yeah, so like I went to college, and all throughout until I was like 19, 20 years old, I was like massively introverted. Still am now, to be honest. I'm naturally introverted, but I was very like socially awkward and anxious. until I started getting into the gym. And then from the
What
age...
drove you to the gym? Was it a confidence thing? Was it friends? Was it a body conscious thing or anything like that?
So basically, again, my brother, he'd been training a lot longer than I had, and I kind of liked his persona, and I aspired to, I idolized it, in fact, and then he gave me the opportunity to come with him to a training session, and I took it. But I think there was multiple things playing out. Like when I was at school and college, whilst being introverted, I gamed a lot, and I was very recluse. Like I was a big recluse, and I didn't really speak to many people. And then me starting to go to the gym was my first sort of outlet where I was able to meet people and meet new people that I ended up realizing I had a lot of similar interests, because I found it crazy the amount of people that go gym that were also like love games and stuff like that, which at the time didn't register because I was so like introverted and I didn't know that many people. And then
So it's the first time you kind of make friends outside of a school context
Yeah.
in that type of way, really,
Yeah,
and
right.
realise that not everything is like school, and that there are like-minded people around in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the gym, going to the gym was my first sort of experience meeting like-minded people, because at the school I didn't really fit in. It wasn't for me at all. Didn't enjoy it. And then obviously I went. I started going to the gym, and then I, just based on how I'm natured, I'm very obsessive about anything that I'm interested in. So me going to the gym a couple times a week, after a month I was going religiously, and I wouldn't let anything get in between that. And then after 6 months of going to the gym, Max pointed out that I was quite strong at that point, bearing in mind I'd been going to the gym for 6 months. So then another 6 months of training, and I entered my first strongman competition and came second.
Wow. Okay, so let's slow down, because we're going as fast as your career has gone here.
Yeah.
So within a year you were doing that. So what type of training were you doing then? What type of, was it Olympic weightlifting or kind of a combination of things, or HIIT style training?
So to begin with, I was just training how my brother was training, so just like normal bro split, like bodybuilding type of training. Wasn't training for anything other than just to train, really, to train and develop and progress. And then it still ended up becoming strong over that 6 month period. And then the later 6 months after that were sort of they weren't quite strength training, but they were more in that direction, because I had a competition in mind, a Body Power Expo in Birmingham, I believe. And yeah, I knew the events that were coming up, so I was just doing lifts that would roughly translate to those. I didn't do any of the events prior to the competition, and still did all right. Yeah.
All right, you came second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that feel when you did your first competition and you were in that world, and you must have been like the endorphins and everything must have been thrilling.
Yeah, like that was, again, growing up, I never really had a thing. That was my first sort of taste and realization of, I'm good at this. I'm good at this, so I'm going to continue doing this. And then after that, I was like, full send. I want to get as far as I can with this. And I'm tall, and that's one thing that all of the elites have in common. They're all really tall, and if like
Got the right framework for
exactly.
it.
Like if you're tall, you can pretty much go as far as you want in terms of strongman. The only sort of limiting factors are your athleticism from an early age. I was fortunate to have had a bike and been swimming from an early age, so like my cardio was pretty good. And yeah, that just sort of carried through and translated to me progressing very quickly in terms of comparatively to everybody else that I was competing against. They'd all been training 5+ years, and I'd come on in a year, 2 years. And
Wow.
got to where
So
I am.
you would have been around about this age now. You would have been 18 by now.
No, not even.
So
No.
wow,
No,
okay,
so I started.
16, 17.
No, I was way older than that. Oh wait, no, wait, no. Sorry, what?
When you were competing, the first competition, so that first kind of full send
Yeah, the first full send. I was
realization.
20, I believe.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was old. I like people that I was competing against had been training since I was 16, but I'd been like just not really interested. I hadn't really. I played rugby at school, pretty good at rugby, and again cycling, swimming. I used to cycle like 20-ish miles to school and back. Not 40 miles, 10 miles there, 10 miles back, and doing that 4 or 5 days a week for the last year of GCSEs and then the 2 years of college. So yeah, like my cardio is pretty good, and that enabled me to get to that sort of level pretty quickly. And yeah, that's basically the situation with that. And then the following year went to do UK's under 23s and came second in that as well. Yeah.
Wow. So that was your life then, training, competing.
Yeah, full send.
Were you sponsored as well
Yeah.
then? So you were able to do that full time. You're a full time athlete.
Yeah. So I was sponsored by a supplement company, clothing company, and the butchers. And that.
And the butchers.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, me and Co. Yeah, me and Co. Nick. That's a good shout. So basically, this really, really weird turn of event, but Meat and Co. They sponsored me with competing in strongman, and they used to send me regular meat, steaks, mince, chicken, everything that I needed, and it was like a very, very, very generous amount of money donated towards me in this pursuit of taking it as far as I could. And the owner that runs it, Nick, I think he saw the vision as well. I don't do things in halves, and I think when I spoke to him and we had that sort of conversation, he knew that I wanted to go as far as I could with it. But then later down the line, obviously I'd messed my back up, which ended up in me having to stop competing.
So how many years of that? So you had a few years of competing.
So I had 4 years of training, 3 years of competing, came second twice in the UK's under 23s, and then.
So one of the strongest men of that age in the UK at that time was you.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's mad.
So this was your life, and at the time, music was happening in the gym.
Yeah, oh yeah, music was.
Did you have friends who were out raving and stuff? Was there that kind of interest or that distraction, or you could see that within your kind of social circle, or were you so into the trading discipline?
I was just so locked in on what I was doing with training. I used to live in Ollerton and drive from Ollerton to Rotherham, the Ultraflex, because that was the best gym around, and that was an hour every day there and back. So 2 hours just driving every day in pursuit of this goal. So I didn't really get much time. My days were spent either traveling to the gym, eating, cooking, sleeping, or training, and I did that for 3 years, just repetitive.
There's almost a purity in that, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like a monk-like existence, really, isn't there? That was your dedication.
That's how a lot of bodybuilders are referred to. I think it's less so for strongmen for whatever reason. But yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention when I ended up transitioning over to DJing. Nick, the owner of Me and Co, he also owns an events company called Groovebox, and they gave me my first ever big set supporting Pendulum, Pendulum, Camo Krooked, and Mephius, and
you owe Nick 10% of everything you earn.
yeah, literally. He did me a solid there, and
we want to get to your transition, but I don't want to rush to it really in a way. I want to kind of savor some of your 20s here in that dedication. Yeah. But then I'm in the injury then, because this is the point. We talked about a transition quite lightly, but that flip between your sporting life and your sonic life now, your music life. There's a huge
divide,
ravine in the middle of there, isn't there, that we need to traverse. So your injury, what happens, and how painful was that?
So I think in terms of pain, it was a lot more mental and psychological damage that it did. the actual injury, I've ruptured and still have ruptured two discs in my lumbar, my L5 and my S1, I think. I can't remember, it's that long ago now. And yeah, I did that from deadlifting, basically. Deadlifting warm-up weight. I could deadlift 325 pretty comfortably, and I did my back on 170.
Well, 170 was my max ever when I was doing weightlifting and stuff, but that's still, in comparison, that was a really lightweight for you. You were just... this is the thing, it's such bad luck, isn't it? You just, one slight awkward angle or something happens.
Not even, mate. I've been like... I've kind of been screwed a little bit, but it's whatever. I'm not complaining because of where I'm at now. But when I played games when I was younger, my go-to position whilst playing on games would be prone, with my back and my chest hyperextended torso,
right, okay.
which then ended up having or creating a dysfunction, chronic dysfunction of my like bracing ability. So I wasn't able to brace properly, and I've been lifting this sort of weight, bracing ineffectively, and then it just sort of come to light, and then that was why I put back up.
Wow, okay. So this was like the sins of your young self coming back to haunt you, but then eventually leading you on to this moment. So when you realised that you were no longer in a position to compete and train and pursue that particular goal as one of the strongest men in the UK, how did that make you feel?
Oh, shit. I was like, very, very much so depressed for about 12 months. It got quite bad over like a 6-month period because I sort of lost my, as we spoke about earlier, I sort of lost my identity. I was a strongman coach. I went to the gym. That's how I lived my life, and that was my existence. And I enjoyed it. Like, it was great, and I loved it, and I loved being that person. And then now I couldn't be that person. And now I was struggling doing menial tasks like doing my shoelaces or picking shit up off the floor because I'd be nervous about throwing my back out. I couldn't sleep because I had sciatica permanently.
Back pain is the worst, isn't it? I mean, because it travels all up and down your body. You can't get comfortable. You can't sleep, so you're tired. Plus the additional taking away the outlet that you had, which exemplified you. That was an extension of yourself, and that was your outlet. That's how you thrashed out your, that how you sorted your mental health out, how you sorted your physical health out, everything.
Cringy, but like it was therapy. It was very, very therapeutic, and I'd sort of lost that, and then that was why I was in a bit of a mess. And then I remember it very, very vividly. I had I'm going to try not to get emotional.
No, and it's cool if you do. I mean, I feel emotional. I understand, like I understand back pain. I understand the beauty of training as well. I haven't trained very much recently, but I go through phases where I get completely obsessed with it, and I have to do it. I have to do it, even if it means you're not sleeping enough or you're not seeing your kids enough or something. There's this compulsion to go.
No, not getting emotional about that. So basically, the switch between that happened.
Oh, good emotions, you mean? Oh,
yeah, it was positive. So I had a conversation with my brother on the way to the gym. Basically, this was like the peak of the sort of depression, where I was like, man, I just can't see the point in anything. It's just.
So were you doing a little bit of training then, but just really light exercise?
I was like clutching at straws, to be honest with you, mate. I'd paid a considerable amount of money to osteos, physios, chiropractors. I'd got multiple Zoom meetings with the leading spinal specialist because I'm like, this is my career and I need to invest in trying to get back on track. And he basically said, if this rehab program doesn't work, then you're going to have to get operated on. So I just fully sent that rehab program for about 6 months and got to the end of the 6 months, progressively getting worse. And I'm like, it's just shit. And so I sort of broke down to my brother Max in the car, and I was like, this is shit. It's not going anywhere. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just wasting my time, but I don't really know what else to do. I don't really know what else to do in replace of me wasting my time in this pursuit for something that I've lost. I'm stuck. So then he was like, what do you enjoy doing? And I was like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know at that point. It's like, well, you like music, don't you? Like, what else? I'm like, yeah, well, I do. What about music? Is there anything that you can do with that? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I downloaded a DJing app on my phone about a month earlier, just because I had nothing to do. I spent all my time training and eating, and so I had loads of free time now that I couldn't do that as much. And I just started mixing on my phone, just coming up with random doubles, and there wasn't really much to it. But then Max downloaded it a couple of weeks later after seeing that I was enjoying myself, and these are his words. He was shit at it. It wasn't very good.
So you'd taken to it really naturally then, even on a little app with basic functions, you were already doing doubles and stuff.
Yeah. So he was like, well, why don't you start learning to DJ like properly? Why don't you invest in some decks or something? I was like, well, I could do that. So then later on, it was like coming up to Christmas, and he had a conversation with my mum and dad, and then they ended up getting some FLX6s for my Christmas present, which I was like over the moon with. Then obviously they didn't come for 6 months or a little over. They came in July the following year because of the shortage, because of COVID or whatever. And then that's when I started learning. Like, I fully sent it, as I do with anything that I'm interested in.
So you went in?
Yeah, like I'm talking every minute of every day for the first at least 2 months. Just was devoted to learning how to mix. Even trying to do, had no business doing quads, no business mixing 3 or 4 tracks together, but I was doing it anyway because
why not?
Why not? Exactly. Yeah. I enjoyed it, so I was like, why not?
So we're literally talking like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day.
Wake up, mix, go to sleep, to the detriment of my weight as well, because I wasn't eating. Like, I was just locked in. But then that's how I feel like I progressed so quickly, because I was all self-taught as well. Like, I don't know what it is, but all of the tutorials and courses on YouTube and wherever, they're just boring as shit.
Yeah.
Like, they're just so boring and monotonous, and they include so much unnecessary information. I'm like,
they're drawn out to make you watch more, so you watch more and then they get more watch minutes and stuff like that. And they're also, that's one person's take. And the beauty of DJing, which now we've moved from one discipline to another, and I know this is something you're really passionate about. The beauty of DJing is that everybody's got their own skill, everybody's got their completely own perspective. Your take on DJing is going to be completely different from mine. They're both completely valid. Like, it is like the beauty of DJing is that you can do it completely. So tutorials, one person teaching you might be completely, it's like coaching someone in the wrong way. Going back to a training analogy, it's like, it's right for some people. So you're completely self-taught, regardless of the amount of information that's out there. You still just taught yourself the old school way, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. And yeah, that analogy was perfect. Like, it is exactly the same as coaching and training. You can, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like, and it is literally the same case with DJing. You can mix multiple different ways, and no way is right. It's just different outcomes, and different people will like those different outcomes based on what their preferences are. So, like, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But that's just the way that I learned. So then, after the first 2 weeks of me mixing, I spent an obscene amount of time trying to record my first mix, which I think it ended up taking me like 20 hours of rinse and repeat, trying to record the same 10 minutes and not fuck up. And bearing in mind, I was using sync as well. Using sync, clanging tunes because I hadn't set the beat grids up properly. I had no idea of keys, phrasing, nothing. It was just all intuitive. This is where I think this song should go. This kind of goes with this one. I'm like, yeah, I'll do. So yeah, if you want to see that, that's on SoundCloud. My first mix ever.
And you're going to keep that up there?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because why not?
Yeah,
it's a good starting point.
So there was no way that you were going to do it and just record it in bits and then stitch it together, edit it together in any type of way. If you were going to record a mix, it has to be live.
Yeah, right? 100%. Well, I didn't know how. I didn't know how to do the whole stitching together. So it was literally just a case of me recording it and not messing up, or getting it as perfect as I thought could be perfect at that point. Because looking back on it now, I'm like, God, so many mistakes, so many errors. But back then I was like, this this is good. This is a good mix.
And that's the way you've got to feel. So, I mean, at the moment, like the mixes of yours, the full circle mixes that I'm hearing, you're right across the spectrum. That is the full circle, the full kind of sonic circle in that type of way. What were the first kind of early sounds that you were really kind of finding yourself as a DJ with?
So, in terms of finding what I feel like is my sound now, or in terms of what I gravitated towards at the beginning?
Both, but certainly from the start, what did you gravitate towards?
Jump up. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. It was like just scatty noises that just tickled a little part of my brain that nothing else did. I think that's how the majority of DJs get into mixing. Like, it is purely jump up, because they always get the best reactions as well, I've found, or the majority of the time, based on the crowd. So yeah, for the first 12 months of me mixing, by the way, this is one, I don't know where this goes into the whole conversation, but after 6 months of learning to mix, that's when I started to post consistently on TikTok.
That was going to be my next step. It's like, once you'd put that mix out, how did you start to push yourself and put yourself on social media platforms? And I'm excited to hear about this kind of first big gig warming up for Camo Krooked and Pendulum and stuff like that. So TikTok was the next stage. Your mix went up on SoundCloud. Yeah. Well, during this journey,
so I put my first mix up on SoundCloud. That was within the first 2 weeks of mixing. Then I put another mix up. I think that was back end of that year. It was in September or December, and I actually, I'm not recommending people do this, but this is just the way that I thought to do it, because I didn't know anyone in the scene, I like, at all. I didn't know anyone that was going out at that point, because I was older than everybody that was going out. I didn't like. It was a long time since I'd been at uni, and I didn't have any of those connections. So my only way of getting my name out there to promoters was by just cold DMing everyone, and you know how the amount of people I DM'd. Not good. I even cold messaged Tom, my manager, my now manager.
So it paid off in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't change it, but at the same time, like, I'd say I probably messaged, I don't know, 500 plus accounts, including like promoting accounts and then their personal accounts, just to try and get not engagement, but sort of a response, and to get my name out there. And I probably got a response off, I don't know, 15, 20.
Did you have any rude responses? No. I'm not asking for you to single anybody out, but did somebody turn around and go, "This is not the way to do things"?
Oh, in fact, I didn't have a rude response. Who manages Declan? Is it Grimshaw? Yeah, he was the only one to respond and sort of point me in the right direction in terms of advice, and he was like,
fair play.
Yeah. I actually, it was the response that I needed at the time, because I didn't know any other way, and I didn't know anyone to ask whether this is the way that I should do it. So I didn't know. So yeah, big up Deck, legend.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool, because I can remember similar ones as a freelance journalist, and just hitting up editors and stuff. And someone got back to me saying, "Look, I'm standing in for this editor, but I would recommend you're doing this the wrong way. How about coming with some suggestions for features?" And it was this really obvious suggestion, but I didn't have a clue about you, and you don't know until someone tells you. So that's brilliant.
Off the back of Deck mentioning that, and he mentioned about recording mixes and sending them out to events and all that sort of stuff. I recorded another mix and sent it out to quite a lot of brands and events, and one of them was Devotion in Leeds, and they gave me my first ever set, and oh god, I was absolutely terrified.
What was it like?
Awful, honestly, absolutely dreadful. I didn't enjoy 1 minute of it, but
was it
for some
nerves?
reason, it was like nerves and just stress, because like, as I say, I was at that point even more socially awkward and wasn't sure about all of that sort of environment, because it was completely new and foreign. But after I'd done the set, the sort of sense of accomplishment that I got from doing something that was that stressful massively trumped the fact that it was that stressful, and I wanted to do it again and again and again, and then it just sort of went from there.
Were there any parallels between performing and competing in strongman competitions and DJing? Is that, did you approach them in the same way?
It's exactly the same. Honestly, it's you're performing and you get the exact same feeling, building up to it, the sort of nerves or excitement, tricking yourself into thinking it's excitement because you can't distinguish between nerves and excitement. And then after the set, depending on how nervous or excited you got, I can't remember a single thing. You know, my first Supersonic set, that was the first time I'd played to thousands of people. And I can't remember a single part of it. Not one bit. Because I was that nervous and hyped up on adrenaline. And it's exactly the same with competing. When you do that first event, the first lift, from that point onwards, don't remember a thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember any competition that I've ever done. Every PB that I've ever done, don't remember it. Because you just that amped up on adrenaline that goes out the window.
It's sad the way your brain does that for a good reason. It's protecting you because it's such strong feelings, but it's a shame that you can't remember those details. I can completely relate to that as well. The line between, I think that's a really good point to make just in general, is the lines between excitement and nerves. They're the same thing. It's the same feeling. It's just filed in a different way. It's in a different context, isn't it?
Absolutely. 100%. That was one of the things my coach taught me. And that's like proved massively valuable just in my whole journey. So yeah, like that was the whole situation with
Devotion and your first kind of gigs. And in that time you were developing a presence on TikTok.
Yeah. So I was posting like a little bit towards the back end of the year in December, just every now and then on TikTok. In fact, I even started posting just my favourite tunes. Wasn't even me mixing. It was just me getting my toe in terms of TikTok, because I didn't have a clue about social media. I'd never really been that big on Instagram or TikTok. To be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of social media in general.
It doesn't play a role as much as it does for DJs then for strongmen or things like that. The social media isn't such an imposing influence that it is for people in the DJ world.
It's not essential. The only reason why I did it for strongman is because of coaching. And obviously, the more people you reach, the more people you have the opportunity to coach. And that was part of my livelihood at the time. So yeah, back end of that year in December, I was posting like every now and then.
So this is 2022?
Yes, 2022. And then in January, I made the sort of decision to post consistently. And from that point onwards, I think I posted for about a week, and then one of them did all right. And I was like, well, if I'm posting on here, I may as well sort out my Instagram as well. So I changed my Instagram account. I didn't post consistently on my Instagram for a few months because I just wanted to get to grips with things. But for the first year that I started posting on TikTok, I probably missed no more than a week because I was used to training. It was exactly the same as training, tick boxes. Boxes, and one of those boxes was post every day. And it wasn't even down to posting every day for the algorithm or whatever. It was literally just a case of repetition means I'll improve. And whether that's improving my ability to create content, my ability to mix, my ability to be comfortable on the camera, like all of those things are important. And I knew they were important for me developing as a DJ and progressing. So I was like, well, it's got to be done. Absolutely hated it, by the way. And to anyone that is getting into DJing or like thinks, oh yeah, I want to, but I don't like being on camera. I fucking hate being recorded. I am the most camera shy person that anyone that knows me knows. Like, just speak to anyone that knows me. I fucking hate being recorded, taking photos of me. I can't stand it. I hate it. But I knew it was a necessary evil. So I was like, bite the bullet, get it done. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. So you sort of progress from there.
The more normalised it becomes in that type of way, really, and it's just part of the job then in that way. So we're at the start of 2023 now. Yep. You've had decks for 6 months.
Yep.
You now kind of got a real presence on TikTok. You've started to get gigs and stuff like that. This is where things start to blow up now, isn't it?
So I think in March, it was in March. Yeah, that was when I started to get more regular bookings. It was in March, wasn't it? Yeah. But before that, I'd had 2, I think. So from December to March, I'd had 2 bookings. One was, in fact, they were both Devotion. And then from that point onwards, because I'd sent in my mix and my mix was getting quite a little bit of traction because I was posting consistently and promoting it consistently, so it'd grown like a decent amount of listens for just a mix from some random DJ, and then off the back of me getting content from these upcoming shows, it meant that I was able to post a little bit more and develop and show my development on TikTok, which I think TikTok values particularly, because people that watch your video, if they watch it all the way through, then they're more likely to come across another video of yours. So if they see another video of me, I don't know, a couple days later, playing at a venue for the first time, because I did title all of my posts like that. I'm playing here for the first time playing out or whatever.
People joined you on that
exactly.
journey. They kind of felt part of that journey then, really. Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's when I started to take a little bit more pride in the sort of stuff that I was posting. And come March time, that's when I started posting consistently on Instagram as well. And then I started to notice that I started to, basically, the way that I improve with anything, whether that's strongman or anything that I'm ever interested in, I will do one of two things: watch the people that are the best and try and figure out how and why and what makes them the best, and then anything that does well of mine, figure out why it's done well, and then try and replicate whatever's gone well, and then just repeatedly do that. And by doing both of those things, it just led to me snowballing effectively on socials, and also my improvement as a DJ. I feel like I've always had this thing with the mixes that I put out. Every mix that I put out, I want there to be a notable improvement from the last. And obviously that's getting increasingly harder to do.
Yeah.
But hopefully with this next one, I can still live up to that. I'm hoping. But yeah, that was the gist of that whole year, really. It was literally just a case of rinse and repeat and just continually trying to better myself and develop and refine my sound, which then gradually transitioned from being jump up to more melodic neuro, like Camo Krooked, Mephius. That was the sort of goal for all of my sets, because just the way it made me feel. I like.
It's triumphant music, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's for me, drum and bass. Going to see a set or a rave, it's about feeling. It's not about. And again, this is just my own opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but for me, I don't really get the same buzz that I feel like a lot of other people do. Maybe because I'm older now, but just like listening to scatty noises, I think it has a good effect with like certain points during a set.
But it can't be the whole set.
I can't listen to the whole set. No, I can't. Same with Belgium. Like I can't. It's just too noisy.
Oh, Belgium's great when you mix it in over something else as an additional spice that makes people go, "Way, wasn't expecting that," but just on its own.
It's a shock. It's a shock factor. But like, I can't be shocked for an hour straight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Unless you're A.M.C. Then, fair enough. But yeah, like that was a sort of logical transition for me, because I wanted to be able to produce my perfect set and then play it out to people, and then hopefully have the right people gravitate towards my sound and what I'm about as a DJ. And I'm still on that journey now. Like I've still not honed my sound as a DJ.
But I think you can hear it. You can hear you finding it, and you can hear you having a lot of fun with it, with the full circle concept. And I guess this is where you stepped up again, really, with that concept of pushing yourself to find other sounds and to find these, because as contrast, there's another great dynamic of drum and bass that doesn't exist in any other dance music form. That ability to play something incredibly grotesque and gruesome and incredibly sugary and sweet and beautiful and melodic at the same time.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with house, you can't do that with techno, you can't do that with any of the other genres. Drum and bass is built on that dynamic kind of contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I hear you having a lot of fun with now with these mixes. And
that's always been my sort of motto. I don't know if I don't know if it's the right word, but finding the balance between dark, heavy, and beautiful. That was always my sort of goal with mixing, and that wasn't even something that I'd thought about creating. It was just something that I had. It was again a conversation that me and Max had, and about what I want to do with my sets, and that was the end result was that sentence, and then that's just something that I've carried through and tried to shoot for in every mix that I've done, and then Full Circle came about through a similar sort of conversation. I want to be like all inclusive to all of the sounds that I like and my own take on all of this, and try and fit them together as succinctly as possible and take people on a journey. And like I want to provide a journey that makes people want to cry one minute and then skank the next. Like that's the goal, because all of the best sets that I've seen for me have done exactly that. They've taken me on like an emotional roller coaster, and I've loved every minute of it. And even down to the sort of more scatty tunes that I wouldn't necessarily listen to like casually, at the right points, if they're placed at the right points in the set, they can amplify a set, because there's those like sharp, the lows make the highs higher, and the high, do you know what I mean? It's just one of those.
Completely, yeah.
So I feel like that contrast makes for a better set, in my opinion. And that was the sort of the general gist around Full Circle. I feel like part one was a little bit more tame. There wasn't really as many highs and lows. It was more of like a stable.
It's a journey, though,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
you can feel you taking it from deep to full kind of peak time, full flavour along that way, really. So instead of the contrast, it's more of a kind of gradual sense.
It's a vibe.
Way.
Like that was the goal. And then part two, I spent a lot more time on that. Part one, I whipped together pretty quickly. Part two was considerably longer, way more technically difficult. Like hopefully that's evident when you're listening to it, and just the sounds and blends that are in part two were just leagues apart from part one. But at the same time, looking back on that now, the way that I've critiqued it is, I think it's a little bit disjointed. I don't think the flow's as good as part one, but the highs and lows are more contrast. So I think it has more of an impact at certain parts of the mix, but the flow doesn't take you on a journey as nice as. So the goal with part three is to combine the two, keep the energy high, but still have those really high highs and low lows to make the contrast and the emotions more impactful. So yeah.
So you're really getting into that art form. Right?
Yeah.
You're getting into the nuances and the minor details, just as you were before with training and things like that. And what is it that excites you? Because DJing is an ever-changing art. Like, you know, you've come into it at a really exciting time where all technology has changed. People have kind of moved from controllers back to kind of CDJs, but the technology and it's unlimited. What you can do creatively is unlimited. And I've seen you give some really kind of solid and succinct advice on a lot of posts, like, you know, kind of embracing sync and taking away all of the other kind of technical things and stuff. And these are really important points. I mean, as an art form and as a technicality, this is a really important thing for you, isn't it? In terms of kind of how you approach it and how you use the technology.
Yeah. So no doubt I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but what's wrong with sync? I genuinely don't understand the issue with it. If you can do more technical, more engaging, more, if you can do something better with the technology that they've provided for you, why wouldn't you do it? Just no brainer. But at the same time, you shouldn't not learn how to beat match, because what happens if you can't use sync? You're screwed.
Yeah.
So
Or
like,
if there's something wrong and you're there and you've got thousands of people in front of you, I
What
mean,
are you
we've
gonna do?
seen it, like really high profile examples in the last year or two, really,
Yeah.
of people not being able to use the kit.
grind
For me,
with
I
it.
don't use it because I play across the genre. Like my sets have to start at 100 BPM and finish at 200 BPM.
Yeah,
So
makes
sync
sense.
doesn't kind of work, but it's the next piece of advice that I've seen you give then is making sure it's your prep.
Yeah.
Basically. And this is the big thing now about kind of, because I took a gap. I didn't DJ for 10 years. I'm only using my personal example because in that 10 years, like I had gone from CDs to record box and using things completely digitally. I still approached it when I came back into it. I was still approaching it like I used to with CDs, and I found I couldn't. But then when I started putting in the legwork and preparing and spending a good couple of hours getting everything organized, playlists organized, the mixes I was having
Yeah.
was so much more fulfilling.
Yeah.
The prep, the legwork, and all the organization, putting things in the grids properly and stuff like that. When you do all of that homework, which you would have done when you were training,
Yeah.
it's the same discipline coming back in again, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly the same. I think that's why the transition to it has been quite smooth. But yeah, like the admin side of DJing, it can be a ball ache, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't like doing it. I don't think anyone likes doing it. But the amount of enjoyment and ability and capability that you'll have from doing it, it just massively surpasses the ball ache for me anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel like even down to, I don't know how you set up your tunes. I've got quite a unique way of setting up my tunes from everybody that I've spoken to. But the way that I set them up enables me to be able to freestyle when I'm at home or even out live. I can freestyle with relative ease. Obviously, I can't do the more technical stuff because that's got to be planned. You've got to know what you're doing. When you're dropping like triples and quads and stuff, you can't freestyle that.
They're like showpieces, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're like
yeah.
the kind of bits where you're building up to these moments, and you might have 3 or 4 or 5 in a set. Whereas before, at other points, then you're responding to what you see the crowd are enjoying.
Yeah.
How do you organise your tunes then?
So I've got memory cues every 8 bars until the drop, and then I've got a hot cue, only one hot cue because I've got one hot cue 16 bars before the drop, because the more hot cues that you've got, the longer it takes the track to load. Whereas memory cues, there's like almost no lag. Yeah.
Okay.
So like before that, it only happened once, and after that one time, I got rid of all my hot cues because I had hot cues every 16 bars until the drop, and I think it was a sub-focus tune. I can't remember, but it's got quite a long intro, and I think it ended up having like 4 hot cues. And because I had 4 hot cues, I couldn't cue it up in time for me to double drop it.
Right.
And because I missed that double drop, I was like, nah, that's got to change. How do I fix this? How do I sort it out? Went back the following day and, not the following day. I went back to my computer and sorted it out the following day. And from that point, I've never had an issue with like loading tunes up in time. Because when you're doing fast-paced mixing and your tune takes 5 seconds to load as opposed to, I don't know, 15 to 20 seconds to load, that will screw you.
Yeah.
That's the whole phrase. Like, if you miss that, you're done.
So you've got the memory cues on every 8 then, so you can jump into a phrase, or if that other tune still needs another 8 or another 16, you can keep it back a little bit.
Yeah. And it also helps when you're going on decks that aren't the newer CDJs that don't have beat jump.
Right,
When I'm at home, like beat jump, or when you're on a controller, beat jump, you've got that to hand and it's really easy to flip between the two. But then that's why I have them every 8. I used to have them every 16 until the drop. But I realised if I missed that for 16, then I'm like, oh God, screwed. So I'm like, a little contingency plan. And then the hot cue is mainly there just to sort of signal when the drop is. So I know that the hot cue is 16 bars from the drop. So if I want to go in, I don't know, 24 bars, it's the one before the hot cue, just to make it easier for my mind to process while I'm mixing.
Wow, okay. So you are going on this on like a surgical kind of level, really.
Clinical.
Yeah. But it has to be when you're in that moment. And how has that been? Because then you've kind of learned your skill, learned your signature and your vibe very, very quickly mixing at home and then being thrown in at the deep end. You must be playing a wide range of shows at the moment, from playing to thousands to doing the graveyard shift or doing the warm-up shift. So how have you found that transition from the training to the performing, really, in that type of way?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I would quite happily play to no one. I'd quite happily play to just 5 people. 5 people that are extremely vibey and you're enjoying the time are far better than playing to 100 people that are just stood there.
Yeah, or on their phones, or just got a border off their face.
There's nothing worse when you're playing to a big crowd and they're just not reacting or moving to tunes. Like, what do you do? Whereas, like, you can play to a handful of people, and if they're living it up and living the best life, then you're like, oh, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't really care how many people I play to, as long as I'm getting the reactions from those people. That's all I'm bothered about. And at the end of the day, even if you're playing to no one, if you've got some CDJs in front of you, you're getting your pirate session for free.
Yeah,
that's the way that I see it. Anyway.
Yeah, completely.
So yeah,
completely. I mean, what is the current goal at the moment? I mean, I don't think there is an overarching goal, and I think you pursue it in a kind of, you are pursuing this in a almost like kind of modular way, really, in a tick boxing kind of way.
Yeah.
But at the moment, where do you want to be?
Where do I want? What do you mean?
What are you aiming for? Like, what are you aiming for at the moment? What's the next kind of goal on the overarching plan as you DJ? Like, in terms of your kind of vision, really, and your journey.
Yeah. So, I've always had this thing. When I first got into DJing, I'm going to shout you out here, Tom. It's not just Tom actually, but everybody that I spoke to. The first thing they said is, you got to get into production. Otherwise you're going nowhere. And I'm like, I really hate it when people tell me I've got to do this, because it just really encourages me not to do that. And then then from that point, I was like, no, I'm going to try and see how far I can go with just DJing. And I want to specialize in DJing, because don't get me wrong, I know like the more advanced DJs, everybody knows who they are. They don't release as much as the producers, and for me, I wouldn't mind if they didn't produce at all, because I'm going to see them not just specifically to hear their music, but to hear their sound and to hear their set, and for them to take me on a journey. And if that includes their own production, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered in the slightest, as long as they do that job, they tick that box for me, and they hit that vibe. And you don't need to produce to do that. Now, again, I'm probably going to get some flack by saying that, because I know there's like some sort of, I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of resistance to that sort of mindset or mentality. But I don't know. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm doing it in any sort of malicious way. I'm literally just doing it because I love DJing. I love everything about DJing, and I feel like I've still got loads to learn. With DJing, so I'm very obsessive, and I don't want to go on to learn or try and start learning to produce, because I know the minute I do that, I'm just going to fully send that, and my DJing will take a back seat. Yeah, and I don't want to do that, because I know I'm not as good as I want to be.
They're two really different art forms. Production they both involve an incredible amount of discipline and dedication and focus, but they're very, very different. You're responsive as a DJ. It's very tactile. It's very kind of handy, instead of sitting in the front of a computer where you're literally laboring over frequencies and stuff. I did, like, from a personal note, I'm much more of a DJ than I am, a producer, and I think it takes a different mindset. And I'm really inspired by your story, because you're coming through as a DJ. You're coming through as a DJ, and you're championing that art form and showing what can be done, that you don't have to produce. We're currently in a time of people looking for corners to cut all of the time. A lot of people will do that with money if they're able to, more power to them. Like, you can't judge anybody for what money that they have or anything, but a lot of people will throw money at a solution to try and get away from then 10,000 hours. And I think, like, production is almost like, because then when you get into production, then people might be a certain type of manager might be, well, how about we get somebody else to do the hard bits of the tune, but you put your name on the tune. And this is a thing that's happening in the industry all of the time, without mentioning any names. So for you to come in and champion the DJ side of the art without cutting any corners, and showing that it's taken you, like, literally practicing and showing all of that journey, being completely transparent about it, that adds credibility and weight to the art form of a DJ. And I think the
I
art
hope
form of a
so.
DJ really needs that at the moment
Yeah.
because of the 10, 20 years of cake throwing and, you know, silly behavior and,
Yeah.
you know, that the daft side of it that people are using for promotion, for right or for wrong.
Yeah.
You're coming in, you've seen it as an art form, which is just on the same level, just as hard as being one of the strongest men in the UK. This is where you're taking DJing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, that's from one DJ to another. Thank you. Like, that's fucking wicked. Yeah.
Honestly, like I haven't really gone at it with that in mind. The only reason why I've ended up coming to this sort of goal or aspiration is because initially I got into DJing because it was therapeutic. It filled that void that I didn't have with training anymore. And it was a good way of me expressing, and it still is a fantastic way of me expressing how I'm feeling. And I always find that I gravitate towards the tunes that sort of reflect how I'm feeling at any given time. I know I'm a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, that's essentially what's led me on to being the way that I am now, which is hopefully a little bit more clinical and precise in how I am.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's amazing. And I think you've put your discipline into that and you're applying it to where you want to be. Where is next? I mean, the Full Circle 3 is the next kind of big thing that you're building up towards now, really, isn't it?
Coming out this month. That'll be sorted by the end of this month.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long time coming.
So then elements of this interview, if you are going to sample this interview within the mix, it's going to happen within the next few days, pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I need to put my finger out and edit this video so it drops at exactly the same time, then, really, in that way. But then you've said that it's a 3-part concept. And I think you said that even on the first one, that was it always going to be a 3-part concept?
It wasn't. That's just something that I've changed recently.
Right.
I think the main reason behind me making the decision to make it a 3-part concept is because I can't see any way that I can make a notable. I might be wrong. It might change. I'm not saying it won't. But I can't see at the moment how I make a notable improvement without production in my mixing. And that's not to say this mix is going to be the best mix that anyone's ever created. I'm not that arrogant. It's just I know this mix in comparison to the previous one. There's a notable improvement, and I don't know how to get that same notable improvement from this one that's coming out to part 4, if there was to be one.
It gets so incremental.
Yeah,
the higher up the first curve is a really fast curve, and then it gets more and more incremental.
Little inches. And there's more time gone into this one than any of the others. So I'm like, for me to make such small gains on the previous one, but ever increasing amount of time, it's not. I can't do that. So I think the next one. I'm not gonna say what the next one will be, but
don't have people guessing your next move. I think to go from where you've been, and we've come nicely full circle ourselves here now, really, and we've taken in your whole musical journey and your whole, athletic sportsman journey as well, and to go from where you've been to where you've got to now in such a space of time is mind-blowing and incredibly inspiring. And shows as well, like I think we said it before we turned the cameras on, but to do it at your age as well, and you've mentioned your age a few times, like you're not in your early 20s, you're not a teenager, you've already had a career, but it kind of shows that these type of life-changing things can happen at any point. And it's like when I became a YouTuber at the age of 40, like these things, and it took me completely by surprise, these things happen at any point in your life. And it's how you embrace the situation, isn't it? It's how
it's perspective.
Yeah,
a lot of it is perspective. Like if I were to have changed anything around, like I did my competing. I don't know whether I've mentioned this or not, but I did my competing, and throughout that entire competitive season, I completely missed out on the whole going out side of things, and then learning how to DJ. It was never my intention to become a DJ and do that, but then it ended up being that I have sort of lived what I ended up missing out on in those years, because I'm now playing out to people, whereas I would have been in the crowd watching the DJ play, but because I was training and competing, I just didn't get that opportunity to. So yeah, it's nice that I'm able to. I don't know the make up for lost time is the right term, but
see
you get
another
the point.
side of things. Yeah, completely. And have you actually had a chance to rave? And this is the last question. Have you actually got some really nice dance floor time, enjoying DJs and soaking up the art form from the audience side as well, the spectator side?
Yeah, very much so. That's
Wicked.
Whenever I'm struggling for inspiration, that's the go-to. If I go and see a set of Camo Krooked, go and see a set of Andy, ferocious, A.M.C, they without fail. Like I've never seen any of them play and not been like, oh, I want to go on the decks. Because I can't listen to the mix and not just want have the urge to just sort of get back and spend the next 24 hours just on the decks. But yeah, that's probably one of a huge tip for like anyone that's struggling for inspiration or burnout. Go and see your favorite DJ.
Yeah.
That's the best way, in my opinion.
Get out there and absorb it all and embrace
Absolutely.
it all and soak it all up and remember why you got into it in the first place. And all of us have a different entry point into this, and I think yours has been one of the most interesting ones I've heard in a long time. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Cheers,
Thank
bro.
you very much for letting me do your first interview. It's been amazing.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, mate.
Wicked. Thank you. Nice one.